Hey, Ashley with Competing Priorities here, and it's another 1 millionth time that I've tried to create this video. It's always something. This is regarding the comfort kit that I was talking about in my introductory video for Competing Priorities. So, um, I would like to make a disclaimer before I begin, which is I'm not a doctor. I don't know doctor stuff. I don't even know nurse stuff. I don't even know this vital stuff, like how to take your vitals and what all that means. So if you're sick, please contact your doctor. And if you believe that you've been exposed to COVID, you can either go to your doctor or you can maybe go through one of those drive-thrus where you get your results quickly. Pardon my dog. So yeah, that's my disclaimer. And I would also like to thank my parents because they're the ones. Without them, I don't know what I would have done. Nobody could go to the store because we all had COVID. I guess I could have, or you could order your stuff for delivery. I'm not sure how much extra that costs or membership fees or whatever for that, but I guess that's always an option if you need it to be. So I want to give you a little bit of background, just because everybody was so different in this house, and I couldn't believe how different everybody's experience with COVID was. So there were 3 people in the house. My partner was first. On December 18th, he complained of a mild sore throat. That he just had a little bit of a sore throat, but it was nothing to write home about. He still went into work. However, by the next day, not even 24 hours later, he was unable to eat or drink. He was running a high fever. He was vomiting. He obviously couldn't go to work. He was just generally feeling awful. So by the time Monday rolled around, he was in bad shape. I found him lying in his own bile, which is throw up, liquid. And he was in this little bitty voice calling for help, and it was so sad. So I pick him up, I put everybody in the car, I rush him to urgent care, and they gave him a COVID test. He tested positive, and they sent him on his way, which kind of frustrated me a little bit because I felt like they could have, based on his symptoms, they could have given him a prescription at minimum for nausea. However, he didn't get that till 8 days later. So by the 28th, this is the 8th day later, I had to rush him to the emergency department. He was not able to walk. They had to wheel him in. He thought that he was dehydrated. He hadn't really been able to hold any food or liquid down for any length of time. At that point, I think it was like 10 days. So he was there for a few hours, then he was released. It turns out that he wasn't dehydrated, thank God. They probably couldn't have found a vein anyway. But he did have a low white blood cell count, which makes sense. His body's trying to fight off this infection. And now it's January 4th, and the last time he's thrown up was yesterday, so Sunday. And for those, I guess he lost about 20 pounds, all in all. He's looking frail. And for those that are interested in like how your blood type and COVID symptoms are related, I don't know that for us, I don't think there was any relation. So he's O negative and I'm O positive, right? And I'm not sure what my son is. So on Tuesday, the 22nd, I start getting a tingle in my throat, but I wake up and my joints hurt, and it's kind of hard for me to get around. But I mean, it's really no different than pretty much any other day, like after a big exercise or a big workout or whatever. And my mom convinced me that I needed to go take my son and get a COVID test. So we went through one of those drive-through places, and based on my symptoms, I guess because my throat hurt, I don't know, they gave me a strep swab, a flu swab, and a COVID swab, and they gave my son a COVID swab as well. So I didn't have strep or flu, but I did have COVID. But my son tested negative, which I was thankful for. And we did get our results in 15 minutes, but we had to wait 3 hours in line, but it was totally worth it. I would recommend it if you can't get to your doctor. So yeah. So my symptoms were so mild. After a day or two of that, everything went away. I mean, you can see I'm a little, or you might be able to hear that I'm a little stopped up, but that's no worse than just a common cold. And like I said, my blood type is O negative, or no, mine's O positive. So again, and I lost 0 pounds. I think I actually gained a pound or 2, which is unusual because we all lost smell and taste, but I was still eating sweets like I could taste them. So I think it's all, for me, sweets is like a mental thing. So again, those were my symptoms, very, very mild. And then my son, by the 30th, so everybody started displaying symptoms like 5 days apart. So my partner, then 5 days later me, then 5 days later my son. So by the 30th, he has a really low grade fever. So I give him some Tylenol. And his fever goes down, and he stays in bed all day. The next day, he gets another low-grade fever, but this time, instead of giving him Tylenol, let his body do what his body should be doing, which is fighting off the infection with the fever. However, I would not have let his temperature get above 100 without giving him Tylenol or something again. And I think that I actually did have to give him Tylenol again, so that his fever could go down. And that was it. I mean, there were no other symptoms for him. Praise God. Yeah. So those were our symptoms. That's how it all came about. So now I'm going to go back to my list. We're going to talk about like toiletries, hygiene, food and drug, and medicines and equipment. So first, let's talk about toiletries. Whenever you're not able to drink a lot of water, I notice that my lips get chapped, and apparently everybody else's in this house does as well. So having chapstick on hand is a good thing. We also had masks. We got these masks. I ran out of my other ones, so I had to have my parents pick those up. And I originally started off with these gloves. They're a size medium, but they're super big. They're big. So like I had to work to keep it on my hands. So then my dad picked up these gloves, and these are one size fits most, but they're pretty tight. So I whatever reason, I like these better. I don't like the gloves that almost slip off on me. It's not very helpful. And then, so we also used Lysol to spraying everything. Door handles, not light bulbs, door handles, light switches, doors, air. You know, if you were to breathe, I was, spraying it all around. And then Lysol wipes. We're really lucky because a couple of days before my partner got sick, he went and purchased he found 2 of these on the shelf at Walmart, and he picked them up. I know they're really hard to find, and they have other kinds of disinfectant spray and wipes if you need. And then also Kleenex is really important. We had those a lot of different places. We were pretty much carrying them around wherever we went if we needed them. And I think the first time my dad went to the store, he brought back paper towels. And by that time, I was so sick of doing laundry, washcloths, towels, linens, clothes, that I just decided to replace the linens in the bathroom, like hand towels and washcloths and stuff, replace those with paper towels. You could just wash your hands, dry them, wad this up, throw it away, and I don't have to do any laundry. That's really not what you want to do when you're sick, even if your symptoms are mild. So that covers toiletries. And then for hygiene, for whatever reason, I have in my mind that if you're sick with the flu or COVID or whatever, the more often you're able to take a shower, the better it is for you. I just don't like laying or lying or whatever in my own sick. So I shower as often as possible. I wash my bed linens in hot water, towels in hot water, all that stuff. And I would not reuse a shower towel or hand towel or face towel, whatever, face cloth, whatever. Don't reuse any of that. Well, first of all, you probably shouldn't reuse it anyway because it's kind of yucky. According to my biology friends, it's kind of gross when you reuse a towel. But if you do reuse a towel, be sure to not do it when you're sick. I mean, do whatever when you're feeling okay, but not when you're sick. And then cover your sneezes and coughs, like in your elbow. And also one thing that I think you should do is replace your toothbrush after you start feeling better. So your mouth is full of germs and bacteria and all kinds of stuff. So you don't want a sickly germ or bacteria hanging on in your toothbrush. And then whenever you're sick, you reintroduce it to yourself or whatever. In my mind, it's just best to throw it away. They're cheap enough. Throw it away and start using a new one once you start feeling better. And then for food and drink, all we had on hand was Coke and Diet Coke and water. But I didn't know everybody was going to start getting like dehydrated and all this. So my parents had to go get Pedialyte, Sprite, and Topo Chico. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but my mom told me years ago that sometimes it makes your stomach feel better if you put Coke in a glass on ice. So my partner did that. He felt good for a little bit. He tried it with Topo Chico. That didn't work. It didn't help at all. So the Coke worked, but it wasn't like a long-term cure. It didn't work long enough to help him like hold down food or anything. So those were the drinks: Pedialyte, Sprite, Coke, water, and Topo Chico. Or like ginger ale is really good for your stomach. He tried it and it didn't work for him. So then we've got, for food, things like crackers and soup, avocados, instant potatoes, bread, rice, bananas, broth, eggs. What else is on here? My list. And my dad had a genius idea. Again, genius. He brought my son a bunch of Lunchables because I'm sure he knew I didn't want to cook. And they're not the best thing to eat, but they work. They do the job. And you don't have to continue eating them if they're not part of your child's regular diet or whatever. This is just stuff to get you by until you're better and you can start taking care of your family again or whatever. We did not eat dairy stuff, and we did not eat things that were high in acid like oranges or tomato anything. So it wasn't tomato soup that we had. It was like chicken noodle soup that we had, or broth. My partner said everything tasted like salt, and it all tasted terrible. He could taste the salt in candy. So he was almost sick before he even tried eating, because in his mind it already tasted like salt, and he couldn't get that thought out of his mind, so that it was even harder for him to try to hold down food. And then one other thing is paper plates and plastic utensils. Again, you don't want to sit over a kitchen sink and do a bunch of dishes, right? But you don't want them piling up there and sitting in there either. So my parents did bring over the plastic utensils and the paper plates. And again, I know we all should want to save the earth, but when you're sick, you don't care about that. At least I don't. I just focus on I just want to get better, right? So now we're going to kind of move into the equipment that I used. So let's see. First, I got this little oximeter on Amazon, and it was like $25. And you just put your finger in there, and it will spit out the results, like the oxygen level in your blood, I believe, is up top, which mine's saying 100, looks like. And my heartbeat is at 95. So that's good. I did read somewhere online that if your blood oxygen level gets below 88, I think you need to start heading to the emergency room. Again, I am not a doctor. I think that you should do your own research and talk to your doctor to see what he or she thinks. I don't take my word for it. You need to really speak to a doctor if you're starting to feel sick. But I went by the 88 number. Then I got this touchless thermometer in this bag, and what was really cool is I didn't even have to touch this, really. I just kind of pushed it out. I did touch this button to get anybody and everybody's temperature, but for the most part, I didn't touch this. I did Lysol wipe anything that I did happen to touch, but yeah, this was like $22, $25. And then I got a blood pressure cuff. This was the most expensive. This was $45. But I'm getting at that age where I should probably start checking that stuff. Here is what the unit looks like. And then you stick this. No, not that one. You stick it comes with a little white tube. You can see it in there. You stick that into the unit as well as attach it to the BP cuff. And it will take all your vitals. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't even know what the standard vitals are. So that's the literal equipment that I bought, right? So as soon as my sister found out that my partner had COVID, she told my parents that we needed to load up on vitamin D. So my dad bought vitamin D gummies, and you take 2 of these on a preferably full stomach or with a meal. Then she said we needed to load up on zinc, and I don't tolerate these very well. I don't know if it's the taste or they're kind of hard to chew. I don't know what it is. But you take 2 gummies, and you do it on an empty stomach, preferably, with the zinc. She also said that we needed to take emergency, and I don't do very well with these, but they were here if I needed them. It just so happened that I didn't. I would have taken them if I needed it, but I didn't. We also, as soon as my partner said he started, like his throat was tickling, I started, my son and I, on Sambucol. It's cold and flu relief, and it's got black elderberry in it. You can also get the generic black elderberry. As soon as I heard him say I've got a sore throat, we started taking this stuff. And plus his regular like Flintstone vitamins and all that good stuff. So a couple of other things that we had on hand were the Ricola. I like the honey lemon with echinacea, and they also have the cherry flavor Ricola, and I really like these. So that's what we chose to keep on hand. And then, of course, we had like staples, but none of this other stuff. So we had ibuprofen, and a lot of it. We had acetaminophen, which doesn't do anything for me. We got children's Tylenol for my son, and then Motrin, which is ibuprofen as well. And then also I had a nurse friend contact me through Facebook and say, hey, consider taking low-dose aspirin. So I asked my parents to pick us up some low-dose aspirin because my partner had been in bed for days and days, and it's just, it sounded like, and it was, and to me is, a good idea for us. just so you know. And then, so finally, when he went to the ER, or ED, the emergency department, on the 28th, they gave him some codeine cough syrup so he would quit coughing and be able to sleep, right? But they also gave him this ondansetron ODT. I'm probably totally just butchering that, but it's ONDANSETRONODT. And I mean, this is for nausea and vomiting, and I think it might be what they give cancer patients before they are to go to radiation and chemotherapy, is what I think I read online or in his packet. It's a really, really small tablet that just dissolves on your tongue. So, yeah, because if you're throwing up everything, how are you supposed to take a pill? So that concludes my list, and I'm going to go ahead and put everything down in the description section. So if you guys have any other things that you find helpful or that you found helpful during cold and flu season or whatever, be sure to comment and let me know. And if you would, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for additional information. I am starting on, if you saw my video the other day, you know that I have 5 categories that I try to get done on my to-do list per week, and I kind of want to talk to you about how I go about doing that. So that's coming up next. So that's it. Anyway, thanks for joining and have a great day. Bye.